Hey guys, Tau Depot 2. It's been a long time since I've done a video with me on FaceTime with you guys, so apologize for that. It's just been a kind of a crazy time. We've got two kids now, and one's 18, almost 19 months, and if you have kids, you know that that's kind of a crazy time. They get really busy and they're into everything, so I don't really have a lot of free time really to do much of anything. I read my comics when I can. I took the day off of work because I had a package coming in, which is what I'm going to talk about. And I didn't want it to get smothered in rain and ruined, so I haven't shaved this morning. But anyway, my video today is a small little haul. I've been getting a lot of books, guys. Don't think that I haven't been buying books. I've been keeping up with my pull list. I've got a couple new books on my pull list now. I've also been collecting back issues, buying them off eBay and the CGC boards and things like that. So I've been really busy. I know, thank you guys if you've watched my Spider-Man collection video. I appreciate that. I've got some more coming. I still want to do my Daredevil collection, and I also want to do my Uncanny X-Men collection because those are my other two big pieces to my collection. I'm starting to build up a Batman collection too. That's going to be part of what we talk about here in this video. This video is more in line with HeroesCon 2013, which is quickly sneaking up on us. And if you look back at my video history, I've always gone to HeroesCon. Well, at least in the last 5 years, I've been going pretty steady. I started back in 2010, going back. My first time to HeroesCon was in 1994 when I was just 14 years old. And that was the year Jim Lee was there. Joe Quesada was there too, but he wasn't the Joe Quesada we know now. It was in a different venue, very different feel for that show way back then than the shows now. But I started going back in 2010. I missed 2011 because honestly I couldn't afford it, and also just didn't have the time because we were pregnant with our little guy, and we were just really busy. And then my wife and I went back last year. Stan Lee was there, and we're coming back again this year. And I'm planning my attack for what I'm going to be doing at the show this year. So this is going to be kind of my HeroesCon prep video, and I'm going to pass on some little tidbits about what I do to plan for a con, and show you guys a little bit of what I'm planning on getting done while I'm at the con as well. So let me just kind of show you guys what I've got so far as a small little haul that's related to HeroesCon. This first book I've got isn't actually related to HeroesCon. It's related to Wizard World Philly. I've worked out a deal with a facilitator at Wizard World Philly to get me a signature series book made with two actors from The Walking Dead. I want the Dixon brothers. I want Norman Reedus and Michael Rooker. I want their autographs on a Walking Dead comic book, and I want it to be encased in a slab from CGC. So I got a copy of Walking Dead 87, the San Diego Comic-Con 2011 zombie variant head cover, which I figured was fitting because this is a photo cover, which is from the TV show. These are super hard to get in high grade. I'm hoping 9.8, probably 9.6 when it's all said and done. And I'm okay with that because it's going to have Rooker and Reedus' signatures on it. So that's one thing I've got coming up, and that's coming up at Wizard World Philly, which is the last weekend of May, flowing over into the first few days of June. I know that Reedus is only going to be there Saturday and Sunday. I'm hoping, I've talked to my facilitator, and he's going to try to get it so that they can do on-site grading, and he can get it back to me that next weekend at HeroesCon. But chances are probably pretty good on Friday they're going to run out of doing on-site submissions because they're just going to be so backed up. So that's one coming up. Now at HeroesCon, last year I got two books signed for signature series at HeroesCon. I got one was my Amazing Spider-Man Volume 236, which you saw in my Amazing Spider-Man collection video at the very end. Came back 9.8. It was awesome to be in line and kind of be rushed by Stan and see him there and get him to sign my book. And he signed it with a really big signature, which if you look at a lot of his signature series books, he looks for small spaces in books, and he has a broad stroke because he uses a thick marker, and sometimes it comes out as this big blob, but you can tell it's Stan Lee's name. On mine, he was using a fresh silver marker, and I had a big picture window cut out for him to sign in, so he used all that space, and it looked really good. It's nice and even on the book, and it just looks really good. It presents really well. But anyway, getting an autograph just in general from Stan is a pretty expensive endeavor. I mean, just a basic ticket at the time was $50, and then I paid a little extra so I could go a little faster. There were people who paid even more than that to get their picture and a photograph with them, or a picture and the autograph with them. So, it's a pretty expensive endeavor. And then on top of that, you have your CGC grading fees, and I ended up probably spending around $200 maybe total just to get Stan's autograph and get it CGC'd, and that was slow track. So I wasn't able to get a whole lot extra done at the show, although I love Francesco Francavilla and his covers. He's a great cover artist. He's the creator of the Black Beetle, which is a really popular little mini-series going on with a character he created, the Black Beetle, at Dark Horse right now. Really good guy, really cool to meet. My Dark Shadows #1, if you watch my videos, you know I love Dark Shadows, and I love the Dark Shadows comics. Not really so much for the story or art, but just the fact that it's part of that whole Dark Shadows Gothic romance universe. And he did the cover to #1. He's done all the covers as far as I can remember. He's had at least one cover or a variant cover for every issue of the new run. Which I stopped at around issue 6. I've picked up a few here or there that had really cool covers, but the story is it's not so bad. I mean, I've read worse stuff at DC and Marvel, but it's not keeping my attention, so I'm not reading it anymore. Anyway, long story short, I got Francesco to sign my Dark Shadows #1. And so those are my 2 Signature Series books at Heroes last year. This year, I've got 2 planned right now. I may do 3. And of course, you never know who's going to pop up here at the last minute, because I'm pretty sure they haven't finalized their entire guest list. The first one that popped up was a guy that I wanted to get a signature from last year, but he had to cancel, and he canceled about a month, 2 months before HeroesCon. And the book I wanted to get him signed, I hadn't bought at the time, and I wish I would have went ahead and bought a copy back then, because I probably could have saved a couple dollars, because all of a sudden now this book is blown up again. Back in the early 90s, Jimmy Palmiotti was doing the inks for a book from Dark Horse called X, and it was part of the Comics Greatest World storylines, and X was based in the city of Arcadia, had some crossovers with some of the other Comics Greatest World characters, even had a crossover with Predator toward the end. While Jimmy Palmiotti was on the book, it was going pretty good, and I thought the story was pretty good for me as a 14-year-old at the time. I thought it was really well done. It started to wane at the end, and I think they stopped it at 24 or 25 issues. I could be wrong on that. I don't have the full run. I've got a lot of the early issues, but not all of them. But because it was the early 90s, every book that came out had a variant cover. And I thought the X #1 had one of the coolest variant covers, because it has this cool black and white variant cover with the X foil at the top. And I picked up a copy of this from a buddy of mine on the CGC boards, and I want to get Jimmy to sign it at HeroesCon this year for Signature Series. Probably going to get him to sign it somewhere down here, and I'm thinking about getting a red Sharpie and seeing if he'll sign it in red, because I think that contrast will be really good from the X at the top and the red Sharpie at the bottom. The only thing about this book, there are no copies of this in the CGC census. It has an all black back cover, and it's cardstock. And this one looks 9.8 from the front, but when you turn it over, it's got scratches in the coloring in the back from where it's been transferred, I guess, at some point in time from one bag to another. I'm not sure what they're going to break that down at CGC. If it comes back 9.4, I'm happy, because it'll be the only issue, Signature Series or otherwise, on the CGC census. So that's one of the 2 I've got planned right now. This is the big one, and actually I'll show one book that I'm not going to get signed first. Here's the story behind this book. These 2 books, rather, I'm getting ready to show you. I am constantly looking for deals. CGC boards, eBay, Comic Collector Live, Atomic Avenue, not really so much, but I do look there from time to time. just anywhere I can find a deal on decent comics. And I skipped Neal Adams for Signature Series last year because it was just too expensive doing everything for Stan. Which I hated because when I had missed him in 2011, he was the reason I really wanted to go. And my wife, she wanted to send me, but we knew we couldn't afford it at the time, so we just decided to hold off, and we hoped and prayed that he'd come back. Well, he came back last year, but I wasn't able to get his signature. It was just too expensive to do Signature Series with Stan and my Francesco book. And then I was tickled to see he popped up, I think, the 1st of May. So he's just now popped up on the radar. Him and his son both are going to be at HeroesCon this year, and I thought, well, I need to get a book. Now I love his covers he did of Dead Man and Strange Adventures. I also love the covers he did for Adam Strange in Strange Adventures as well. But those really weren't. I've got a lot of those, and they just weren't really sticking out to me. And I was like, well, what is Neal known for? Neal's known for Batman, if you think back about it. His run on Batman, his covers on Batman are the most well-known of the Batman run of the Bronze Age. He's probably the biggest of the Bronze Age artists, in my opinion. He's up there with Barry Windsor Smith and those guys, but he really stands out from the crowd when it comes to Bronze Age stuff. And the stuff he did on Batman was just excellent. So I said, well, let me find a Batman book. And I found one on eBay that I wanted for a long, long time because of the character that's it's the first appearance of. And I talked to the guy, and I was like, is that your bottom dollar? And we kind of haggled a little bit, found out he was on the CGC message boards too. Made me feel a little better about the purchase going off eBay. We talked for a little while. I tried to bundle to get the price down to where I wanted it, and he offered me a bundle that I couldn't refuse, so I took it. So it's 2 books. First one is Batman 235. It has Talia on the cover. I think this is an awesome cover because it's reminiscent of his Neal Adams House of Mystery books, because it has that eerie feel like you're outside in the swamp. Also, this is a cool cover because it's got Batman without his cowl on, which you don't see very often in a lot of his books. It's also the second appearance of Ra's al Ghul, which is really cool as well. And that's the whole reason why I got the lot together that I did, because I figured if I was going to get Neal Adams to sign a book, I wanted it to be a book that meant something to me, and I wanted it to be one of his cooler books. I didn't want it to just be a generic issue from his Batman run or Strange Adventures or anything, or House of Mystery, anything like that. I wanted it to be something that was going to stand out to me and to anybody else who came across it. So I ponied up, and I got a copy of Batman 232, first appearance of Ra's al Ghul. I'm going to be sending it off before HeroesCon to go through press, clean, and prep. I want to get it all nice and pretty as best I can without it becoming a book that has been restored, to try to get as much grade out of it as I can. It was graded out as a 5.5. I kind of think it's a little stronger than that in hand. I know it presents a lot better than that. I know that for a fact. Man, that glare is horrible on these Mylars there. That's pretty good. It does present a lot better than that. I mean, the pictures, when I sent the pictures off to Joey Post to get his estimate on it, he said it looks like a 7.5, 8 in hand, or in the picture. He can do some work on it to see, to ensure that we kind of keep it there, because there's a little bit of water damage on it. And we'll see what Joey can do on that for us. But I'm tickled about that. Really, really tickled. A few things about HeroesCon, a few tips if you've never been. HeroesCon is the true definition of a comic book convention. Do not come to HeroesCon if you're thinking to meet up with a lot of TV and movie celebrities, because that's not really what it's there for. It's more of a celebration of the art and the artist. And so Artist Alley will be chock full of a lot of the modern artists. You'll also see a lot of the same artists year in, year out. HeroesCon is based in Charlotte, so it's part of that whole Charlanta metropolitan area that runs basically up the interstate from Charlotte down into Columbia and South Carolina, and then all the way south to Atlanta. There are a lot of artists that live in the Atlanta area. That's just a quick drive up the interstate to Charlotte, and they come up and do it every single year. Shelton Drum, the owner and the originator of the convention, is a very personable guy. I follow him on Twitter. He's really good about speaking out and representing artists really well, and he wants to keep it the way it is. He doesn't want to turn it into a big multimedia con like San Diego Comic-Con has become. He wants it to be about the art and the artist, and that's the way it's going to stay, and that's the way it is right now. So don't come thinking it's going to be anything like that. Don't come thinking it's going to be anything like Dragon Con either. I've heard some crazy stories about cosplay and parties and things like that go on at Dragon Con. HeroesCon is more family-oriented and just all around just a great experience. They're expanding this year. They're going to take up Hall A and Hall B, so it's going to be a bigger floor, which should mean for smaller or wider lanes and not feeling so congested, because last year was just crazy. But I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Stan was there, and also it was the 30th anniversary last year and they pulled out all the stops. I mean, they had George Perez there, Neal Adams was back. They just had a lot of great artists there last year, and I'm sure that probably drew in a lot of people as well that typically probably wouldn't have come to HeroesCon. So anyway, those are my books, and that's a little bit about HeroesCon. One thing that I'm going to do, I might make a video about this. For my book, for my X #1, I'm going to create a window, oh goodness, I'm going to make a windowed bag so that when Jimmy signs this, he'll know right where to sign it, and my book will stay protected in transfer. So that way I don't have to take it out of the bag and board and have them sign it and then put it back in. I can leave it in the bag and board, have them sign it, and then put that inside a top-loading Mylar, like a Mylar 4 or an ArcLight, something like that, and be able to take it back to the CGC booth so that I can get it graded. Now, of course, they won't be doing on-site grading at HeroesCon. They'll be taking it back. I learned my lesson last year. I'm going to pay the extra $10 per book to get them fast-tracked, because let's see, HeroesCon last year was at the end of June. It was the weekend of the 24th. I had one book signed on the 23rd. The other one with Stan was signed on the 24th. I did not get my books back until after Thanksgiving, I do believe, or right at Thanksgiving. So, you know, that's July, August, September, October, almost 5 months of wait for those books, when I could have just paid $10 extra for both and had them back in about 20 business days. So about roughly a month, which is what I'm going to do this time. I'm just not going to sit through that again. That was just ridiculous, and it's not worth my time. Even though I'm not reselling these books, these are my own for my personal collection. I'm just not going to do it. So anyway, guys, that's all I got. I hope to see you guys at HeroesCon. I'd love to see more boardies at HeroesCon. You know, it's always great to run into folks. I know ECW fan goes and brings their crowd from West Virginia every year. I'd love to meet up with those guys. I'm hoping Howler Mouse is going to make it back this year, because I was a little upset when I found out he showed up on Sunday, because I would have loved to have looked through the same boxes he was looking through to see what we could find. That's the other thing this year, guys. I'm not really going for so much quantity of books. Last year I went and I brought a wad of cash, and I was just trying to buy as many books as I could, and I came home with a long box full. I'm not really going for that this upcoming year. I've got kind of a wish list I'm starting of books I'm missing. I'm doing it on StashMyComics.com, and I'm just going to take that list, print it off, and I'm going to run with it. And if I find them, great. If I don't, it'll be okay. I'm not really looking to spend a fortune. I am in the market for a nice presenting copy of Green Lantern 76, or a nice presenting copy of Batman 227, which is the horror at Gothos Mansion cover, which is an homage to the Detective Comics 33 cover that Neal Adams did. It's a gorgeous painted cover with the lady in the white dress running at the bottom, which was one of the books I wanted to get. I thought about getting him to sign that one instead of 232, but 232 just stood out to me more because it's the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul. So anyway, guys, that's what I've got planned. If you're going to HeroesCon, please make a comment, send me a message, let me know. I'd love to see who all's going there. There is a big CGC Collector Society board meetup. There's going to be a dinner that Friday night. Love to have more people involved with it. I hear it's always a great time. This is the first year I've ever been invited to it, and I'm hoping to be able to make it. I'm not sure yet what we're doing that Friday night because my wife has discovered that Brad Paisley has a concert Friday night too at the Verizon Amphitheater. So we may end up going to that instead of going out to the boardy dinner, but we'll see. But anyway, guys, again, let me know if you're going. Rate, comment, subscribe on the video, and we'll be talking to you soon.